Tomorrow is September, and that means that the presidential campaign is mercifully in the final stretch. Donald Trump is attempting to stay on message. Republicans are lawyering up. They're registering voters and they're encouraging supporters to vote early and by mail. That's a big change from 2020. For her part, Vice President Kamala Harris is talking about joy and not much else, staying cocooned by her staff, away from interactions with the press and real people, except for that first interview with friendly CNN anchor Dana Bash and the security blanket of Governor Tim Walz in tow. Now, whether it's more energized voter registration efforts in swing states like Pennsylvania, a more robust election integrity apparatus, the GOP seems to have learned from some of its really big mistakes from 4 years ago. But now it's time for them to activate their grassroots in an effort to further define Kamala Harris as not only a radical, but a radical failure. It's time for the GOP to go guerrilla. When Democrats do this, of course, they stage big marches and riots. They threaten people in restaurants. They go to private homes. They attack candidates' family. They take over college campuses. Republicans don't need to do any of that. In campaign parlance, what they do need to do more of is called bracketing. It's essentially a counter-protest to candidate appearances. And a lot of times when you see this on the Democrat side, it's just a bunch of union guys sort of voluntold to show up, and they're given they're given pre-made signs. They're blasting the Republican candidate for one reason or another. On other occasions, it's the Code Pink type zealots and others who scream about racism or the end of the world. But no matter the make or the model of left-wing protester, the fact of the matter is Democrats are actually very good at it, and they get covered, often by local media, for these things. The Trump campaign and Republicans need to start doing more of it and get serious about it. And here's how. You got to deploy activation captains in every swing state to help organize residents to line motorcade routes and counter Ms. Harris's events in view of the media at each location. Each group should be provided with large photos or photo collages of the victims of this border crisis, whether it's due to the drugs or the criminal elements that have been allowed into the country by the Biden-Harris administration. Others should hold those big blow-ups of the mugshots of illegal immigrants arrested for criminal activity and the faces of the border guards and the cops killed or injured by the crime and border crises. And while they're at it, hold up the faces of the rioters from 2020 that Ms. Harris helped bail out of jail. That would make a lot of sense, too. Still, other volunteers should have large posters with the increased prices for goods and services caused by the inflation exacerbated by the Biden-Harris massive spending programs and regulations. Ms. Harris has flip-flopped on nearly every major position over the last few weeks in an effort by her campaign to pull the wool over the eyes of the American public about her true nature. Socialized medicine, the open border, defunding the police, radical climate policy, broad opposition to a range of domestic energy production efforts, and many more. She's now even quietly trying to walk back her bold price controls regime that she announced with such gusto just a couple of weeks ago. The flip-flop label is a powerful one, and it worked for George W. Bush against John Kerry in 2004. It can work now for Donald Trump. It reinforces Mr. Trump's contention that Ms. Harris is a phony and a political chameleon attempting to hide her fidelity to some form of American Marxism. In any event, the Trump campaign should also deploy protesters dressed as flip-flops everywhere that they can. Flip-flop costumes cost less than $100, folks. The message can then be reinforced with Harris flip-flop signage. Get Harris flip-flops and hand them out to the press. Hand them out to people all around the country. Now, look, if this seems old-fashioned and low-tech, it is. But it works. We live in a visual society, and campaigns are a visual story. Creative bracketing and street theater get eyeballs, and they reinforce key messages. Sure, wave your American and your Trump flags when the former president comes to town. It's important for people to turn out in droves to support their choice. But when Ms. Harris shows up, it's an opportunity to make it clear that she can't hide from the failures and the massive human cost of the last 4 years. Ms. Harris is guilty of cackling over other people's misery, failing upwards, and lying her way through any attempts at accountability. She doesn't just need to hear that from Mr. Trump. She needs to hear it loud and clear, on the ground, from real Americans, everywhere she goes.